Hello and welcome to Magical Lemons YouTube channel. My name is Breland and today I'm going to show you how to do a half double crochet. So to begin, I've already made my slip knot and I have chained 12. To get started, we're going to find our third chain from the hook, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see a little better. To find our third chain from the hook, we'll start at the hook and count down. So this would be our first chain, our second chain, and our third chain. Once we found our third chain from the hook, we're going to yarn over and then insert our hook into this third loop. So to yarn over, you'll bring your yarn from the back to the front. Make sure you have your third chain, and we're going to poke it in that back loop and insert our hook there. And then we're going to yarn over and pull our yarn over through this first loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. We'll yarn over again and pull through all 3. Just like that. Alright, now let's do another one a little slower. So we're going to yarn over, and I typically hold my yarn over between my pointer and my middle finger on my right hand. And then we're going to go into our next chain in that back loop. So your chain has 3 loops. You have the front loop, the center loop here, and the back loop here. That center loop can also be accessed on the back of your chain, and that's that little bump in the back. However, I have found it easiest to just work in the back loop. So that's what we're going to do. So we've inserted our hook and we've yarned over. Now we're going to yarn over again. And we're going to pull our work toward the end of our hook and let that yarn over catch. Turn our hook and pull it through this first loop. Make sure we poking our hook back out and facing our hook toward the ceiling. And we'll yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. Just like that. And we're going to keep going. I'm going to zoom out so you can see what my hands are doing. So you can see how I hold my yarn. Now if you notice a couple of things, whenever I yarn over, I hold the yarn between my pointer and middle finger on my right hand. Then after I've inserted and I yarn over again, I catch it between my pointer finger and middle finger on my left hand to hold that tightness there, to make sure it doesn't get too loose and go anywhere. Get some more slack in our yarn. And we're going to go to the end of the row here. Now at the end of all this, I will have 10 stitches. And I'll explain why, when starting with a chain of 12, how I ended up with 10 stitches when we get to the end of the row. Now, if your work begins to curl like this, I typically take it and kind of pull down on it. Typically this happens when my tension's too tight. I do have a tendency to crochet pretty tight, and so that makes a big difference. However, that's easily adjusted by just not holding my yarn so tight on my hook when I yarn over. So, alright, we're at our last chain when we have completed our double crochet, or half double crochet. So now we need to go the other direction. Now I'm going to take my hook out so you can see something here. Remember how I told you we chained 12 to do this little swatch? These are the 2 other chains. So I have 10 stitches, and you can tell they're stitches by the 2 loops on top. And this over here is my chain. So that chain 2 is what gave us the height that we need. So now that we need to go the other direction, we're going to chain 2. And I always chain first before I turn. I just feel like it gives me a smoother edge. Now, if your pattern says that the chain 2 counts as a stitch, you're going to skip this first space here where the 2 loops are. Right there. You can kind of see my finger on the back side of that stitch. You would skip that one and go into this next stitch. However, because I'm not counting it as a stitch, I'm going to work into that one. So the first stitch here. So I've yarned over and I'm going to insert. Then I'm going to yarn over again and draw up or pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over again and pull through all 3. We're just going to do a couple more. Get some more slack in our yarn. And I'm going to zoom back out so you can see what my hands are doing. Now, I'm going into both loops. So, although there are 2 loops there, right there, it's actually one, we count it as 1 loop because we inserted our hook into both loops. Now, if your pattern says to go into the back loop, you'll go into the one farthest away from you, front loop, the one in front. However, there is a 3rd loop, and I've never used it in half double crochet. So I'm not going to show you that today. I've only ever seen that in very, very specific patterns, and I've never used it. So we'll not worry about that today. Now, when we get to the end of this row, I want to show you something. I need more yarn. My yarn's kind of in a tangled mess. I need to re-roll it into a ball. That's okay. We're just making a swatch. Okay, so this will be our last stitch. Alright, so you see this edge here? This is actually our chain 2 that we did when we turned. This is actually our last stitch, right there. So, we're going to do our normal half double crochet into it. Just like that. Now our edges should be even. And they are. The reason why they're even is because we didn't work into the chain. This loop we could technically work into if we wanted to, but we would add another stitch and that would cause our edges to be in and out and in and out, kind of like a zigzag. So these edges are nice and clean. Well, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Breland. Please like and subscribe and comment, leave me some feedback. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a magical day.